We're taking a look at 5 under-the-radar players for the Miami Dolphins on today's show. Guys that maybe aren't getting a lot of buzz, especially nationally, but even just within the Dolphins organization overall. Players who may or may not make the 53-man roster, but are dudes that we're excited to watch, or at least I am excited to watch, in the preseason. Speaking of, if you are hyped for the first preseason game or about a week away, then spam me in the comments section. I know I am. I cannot wait. We'll have a watch party for you guys once again. Spam those me's in the comments section. All right, let's go to the 5 under-the-radar players. First up is a wide receiver, Erik Ezukanma, who was a 4th-round pick out of Texas Tech, did not make any real impact in his first season. 1 catch for 3 yards. That was it. He simply did not play a big role last year for the Miami Dolphins. Other receivers were ahead of him. But he was a 4th-round pick. The Dolphins gave him time to grow and adjust to the NFL after showing promise in his time at Texas Tech, where he played his college ball. He was never a crazy, 1,000-yard receiver. Never even caught 50 balls, very different numbers there. 500 passes in a season, but the flashes, the promise, and the size is also very intriguing. You're talking about a player here who offers better size than most, and that listed at 6'3", 220, maybe a bit more like 6'2" and change, but there is that size element that isn't really present notably on the roster otherwise. Braxton Berrios is a pure slot receiver. Cedrick Wilson can play inside and out and has not undersized ability, but he's not as big as Ezunkanma is. Robbie Chosen is a bit more of that speed receiver as well, which, hey, you know what? More speed is more speed. I think that those roles are all different. Berrios is just a slot. But what you could do, especially with Mike Gesicki gone, is play Ezunkanma in that kind of big slot role where he's really just a receiver, but he offers you a different threat in that role, gives you a bigger target to go to, matched up against the nickel corner or whatever. That is a different style of player than Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Berrios, etc., which is why I think there is a good shot he makes the roster and maybe even earns a wide receiver 3 or 4 designation. So pick a wide receiver 3. To a certain extent, all these guys showing different flashes, etc., at training camp so far. Even had some good buzz on Cedrick Wilson after he was a non-factor last year. But pick a wide receiver 3 for me. BB for Braxton Berrios, CW for Cedrick Wilson, RC for Robbie Chosen, a.k.a. Chosen Anderson, and, etc., and EE for Erik Ezukanma. This is the pinned comment on today's show, so if an ad comes here on YouTube, great. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote instead. Mitchell Agude. Now, this is someone who we discussed at OTA's minicamp. There was plenty of positive praise around him. He was another former UCLA Bruin turned Miami Hurricane, making an impact at defensive end, just like Jalen Phillips did. I will say this. He has seemed to cool off little bits as training camp has gotten going, but this is the exact type of player I would not be surprised if he really, really impressed in the preseason, because you're getting talented edge rushers going up against bad offensive linemen. We are often worried about the Dolphins' offensive line depth, understandably so. It's like that for about 30 teams in the NFL. Miami's not alone in that. That sets up the defense to have some big-time splash plays there. The path to the roster, however, is tricky. There's Jalen Phillips. There's Bradley Chubb. Emmanuel Ogbah can play some edge. Andrew Van Ginkel offers some inside-outside flex at linebacker. Malik Reed has flashed before and knows the Vic Fangio scheme very well. Agude, if he can impress in the preseason, can make the roster or at least earn a practice squad spot and buy him some more time to grow, develop, etc. Agude had 39 tackles in 2022, playing for the Canes, 7 TFLs, 4 sacks. You need better production, at least on a per-game basis, in the preseason if he's going to make the roster. But there is enough. This is maybe my one reach for under the radar, but not a player that national media is aware of, I'm sure of that. Please player to watch in the preseason. So are you excited for our watch parties this year? I cannot wait. Nothing I love doing more in this job than doing the watch parties, having fun with everyone watching. It'll be a blast. It'll be the preseason. It's only for the diehards because by the time we get to the fourth quarter, it's like, okay, These are a lot of dudes who ain't going to be on your actual roster, but I find that fun. Nice to see players I remember from draft season. So if you want to join us for our watch parties, make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/Dolphins News. How about Elijah Campbell at the safety position? Obviously, Javon Holland, etc. are going to be your key guys. But Campbell is someone to not sleep on when it comes to making the roster at the safety spot. He's been a key special teamer along with Justin Bethel and others last year. And I think he's actually looked pretty comfortable so far in the new defense, coming down, being able to make plays. Maybe this defensive scheme change for Vic Fangio will lead to good things for Elijah Campbell, who hasn't really played defense in the past. He's got plenty of special teams reps, but he's got 82 defensive snaps in his career, the majority of those coming last year. So the target numbers, 3 of 7, 18 yards, and a PBU, looks pretty decent, all things considered. But he is still fighting for what I would assume to be that fourth safety spot. It's going to be Javon Holland, Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott. I'd say those guys are pretty much roster locks. So safety 4, is it Campbell? Is it Verone McKinley? Is new addition Miles Dorn going to make a splash? Could they put Justin Bethel as a safety, quote unquote? Keon Crossan has played a lot of special team snaps. Speaking of special teams, when it comes down to those final roster spots, when you're picking your 48th, 49th, 50th player, whatever, special teams plays a big role. Young guys get more time because they can be inactives, but if you're a backup defensive back and you're not young, you better be a key special teamer. Elijah Campbell was 4th on special team snaps last year, and the 5th player, Clayton Fejedelem, is not there anymore. He's no longer with the Dolphins. So do not sleep on Campbell making this team. All right, who do you think is an underrated player for the Miami Dolphins? Kind of fits the under-the-radar mold. I think like Tua from a national perspective, yes. I don't know why people doubt him so much. I am a part of Tua and on. Other players, sound off for me in the comments. Speaking of Tua, NFL Jam shirts are available. You guys remember NBA Jam, right? It was that awesome game. Well, our friends at Fanatics have made some T-shirts with an NFL style. You'll notice Tyreek Hill, Tua, and Hill's speed is maxed out, by the way. Get yours today at chatsports.com/DolphinsJam. That link will be in the comment section and the description. If you scroll down a bit on that page, you'll also find this Dan Marino NFL Blitz shirt as well. Get yours today, chatsports.com/DolphinsJam. Links in the comments and in the description. Let's go back to offense now. Erik Saubert. You're replacing Mike Gesicki in terms of like the name recognition and maybe as a pass catcher, but I think the role is very different in terms of snaps and playing time and production at the tight end spot than maybe what we've seen in other Mike McDaniel offense because they had George Kittle. Durham Smythe is still likely to be this team's starter at tight end. I think he'll be kind of the do-it-all guy. ESPN reports that the Dolphins have been pleased so far with Saubert, who I think can do some nice blocking things for you as well, despite not making a massive impact in what has been a journeyman career as a tight end. 74 games played so far in his NFL path with a bunch of different stops. Erik Saubert truly has been, a pretty big journeyman player. Last year he was with the Denver Broncos, but he has very much bounced around over the course of his career. He's played for the Falcons, the Bears, the Jags. He's not even 30 yet. His best year was last year. 15 catches for 148 yards, so half-ish, kind of rounding a little bit there, cheating a bit, of his production. He had a touchdown, too, with the Denver Broncos. The Finns are not going to ask him to be a George Kittle or even a Mike Gesicki as a pass catcher. They're going to ask him to be a decent tight end, too. And in a tight end room that is murky, that maybe does not rank highly compared to other tight end rooms in the NFL, there's a chance for Saubert to make a bigger impact than what we might expect. So what is your confidence level? Very curious how you guys answer this one, so please sound off down in the comments. What is your confidence level in the tight end room? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. Back to defense again. We did outside linebacker, Mitchell Agude. Now inside linebacker, Aubrey Miller out of Jackson State. He is an undersized linebacker. At his measurements, he was under 6 foot. Keep that in mind. He'll probably be listed at least at 6 foot because, program size, etc. But he's shown some flashes at Dolphins training camp, and I do think there is a chance for Miller to, at minimum, make the practice squad, if not surprise and make the active roster. He was productive last year for Jackson State. After beginning his career at Missouri, was a much better player under Deion Sanders against lesser competition, to be fair, but a lot of tackles, by the way. Now, the linebacking room is going to be led by David Long and Jerome Baker. Of that, there is no doubt. Linebacker 3-4, if they want to carry a 5, I'm not sure that they will, is a little bit more murky. Is it Duke Riley? Is Channing Tindall going to emerge this year? That one's a little bit uncertain. This is definitely a player I'm going to watch closely in the preseason because I kind of suspect Miller's going to have a bunch of tackles and make some splash plays for the Finns early on.